$325 million. That's the price tag of one of Hollywood's most explosive divorces. 18 years of love, fame, and carefully built perfection. Torn apart by one shocking detail buried inside a prenup clause the tabloids are calling the cocaine clause. This isn't gossip. It's a legal time bomb that could decide who keeps $250 million and who walks away with heartbreak and a check. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, the golden couple. An actress with Oscars and elegance, a musician with Grammys and Southern charm. Together, they looked unstoppable. Until the cracks appeared, until loyalty turned into leverage. Until the same addiction that almost destroyed their marriage once became the reason it might now cost him everything. Because when love meets a $325 million fortune, even the word trust starts to sound like a legal term. But this fairy tale didn't just fall apart overnight. They met in 2005 at a Los Angeles gala. Two stars from different worlds, colliding under the same spotlight. Nicole was still healing from her split with Tom Cruise, rebuilding her life with quiet resilience. Keith was the country rock rebel whose music sold out arenas and melted hearts. When they posed for that first photo together, the world gasped. Hollywood royalty meets Nashville soul. It looked like destiny. Within a year, they were married in Sydney under candlelight and cameras. Fans lined the streets, paparazzi camped outside the church. Every flash caught what looked like redemption, a woman who had finally found peace, and a man whose wild heart had found home. But behind the closed doors of their Nashville mansion, the perfect story had fine print. Fame doesn't pause for newlyweds. Film sets, tours, distance, their lives started running on separate schedules. And soon, the whispers began. 1 year in, Keith checked into rehab for cocaine and alcohol addiction. Nicole stood by him, calling it a test of love. The world applauded her loyalty. But quietly, that moment changed everything. Because Nicole, burned once before by a public breakup, wasn't about to gamble again. She wanted protection, a safeguard for her life and fortune. That single decision, written in calm legal language almost 20 years ago, would become the detonator behind one of Hollywood's most expensive divorces. By 2025, the fairy tale that began with flashbulbs and vows had turned into silence. No joint appearances, no public affection, no anniversary posts. Then came the bombshell. TMZ broke the story. Nicole Kidman had officially filed for divorce after 18 years of marriage. The reason? No one knew for sure. Some whispered about a new woman. Others said years of emotional distance had finally taken their toll. But the real twist wasn't why they split. It was how their fortune would be divided. Because this wasn't just any breakup. This was a $325 million dismantling of one of Hollywood's most carefully guarded empires. Within hours, headlines exploded. Nicole Kidman's cocaine clause, the most ruthless prenup in Hollywood. Legal insiders confirmed it. The clause was real. If Keith ever relapsed, Nicole could keep everything. If he didn't, he'd walk away with $11.4 million. That clause was her insurance policy, written in trust but built for survival. Now, as lawyers circled and rumors swirled, one question dominated the headlines. Did the clause get triggered, or was this just the end of a love that had run out of time? When most couples divorce, they fight over who keeps the house. When you're Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, the house means 11 properties across 3 continents. Together, they built a $56 million portfolio. Not just homes, but symbols of a shared empire. The Nashville estate, once worth $4.8 million, now valued near $9 million. The $6.5 million New York apartment overlooking Central Park, Nicole's quiet retreat between films. The Sydney farmhouse, her escape to the countryside, and the Beverly Hills mansion, prestige in every square foot. But in court, sentiment doesn't matter. Appraisals do. According to the Economic Times, those properties weren't just trophies. They were calculated investments, many outperforming the stock market. Now, every address is a chess piece. Nicole fights for Sydney and New York, the homes tied to her identity. Keith wants Nashville, the property closest to his heart and his daughters. But ownership isn't simple. These homes are protected behind trusts and LLCs. Layers of corporate structure hide real control. And in divorce law, that means strategy wins over emotion every time. While tabloids focused on love lost, their attorneys played financial chess worth tens of millions. But behind the scenes, a single sentence in a 20-year-old contract was about to change everything. Hidden deep inside that prenup sat the infamous cocaine clause. It wasn't about scandal, it was about control. If Keith relapsed, Nicole kept it all. If not, he'd receive $11.4 million. A generous payout, but barely a scratch compared to her $250 million fortune. That clause was born out of 2006, the year Keith went to rehab and Nicole learned how fragile forever could be. It wasn't cruel. It was calculated, a way to protect love from destruction and fortune from chaos. For nearly 2 decades, it never mattered, until 2025. Now, lawyers were dissecting every word, every condition, every timestamp that could decide whether Keith walks away wealthy or empty-handed. Hollywood has seen strange prenups before: Britney's fortune shielded from Kevin Federline, Jessica Simpson's weight clause, Jeff Bezos' missing prenup that cost him $38 billion. But Nicole's stands apart. It's not vanity, it's strategy. A reminder that in Hollywood, even love comes with legal terms. And as the story unfolded, one thing became clear. The clause wasn't just legal armor, it was a reflection of power, a declaration that emotion would never outweigh control. But money wasn't the only thing on the line, because while the lawyers debated numbers, Nicole was quietly preparing for a fight that mattered even more, the one for her children. Money can be replaced. Family can't. As the headlines obsessed over assets, Nicole's real battle was unfolding behind closed doors, over custody of Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, her daughters, her heart. This wasn't about image, it was about redemption. Decades ago, she lost daily custody of her adopted kids, Isabella and Connor, after her split from Tom Cruise. The pain of that loss never faded, it carved itself into her story. This time, she wasn't letting history repeat itself. Reports say Nicole is pursuing primary custody, not to exclude Keith, but to give her daughter stability. Keith, determined to stay close, is pushing for shared time. Both are fighting for love in different ways. But family court isn't about love, it's about leverage. Primary custody can shift everything, from child support to property division. In a $325 million divorce, every hour of parenting time has a dollar value attached to it. Still, beneath the legal maneuvering lies a simpler truth. Two parents trying to protect what fame can't buy back. And no matter how much money either side wins, the emotional cost will be the same: permanent. Once custody filings were sealed, the spotlight moved from the courtroom to the contracts. Nicole's empire keeps expanding: production deals, luxury endorsements, streaming projects worth millions. Her brand is bulletproof. Keith's income, though still huge, is tied to touring, a business built on momentum, one that rises and falls with every show. Nicole's earnings are protected by the prenup. Keith's future income? Still open to recalculation. That means the $11.4 million may just be the beginning, or the end, depending on what comes next. Hollywood loves a comeback. And this story isn't over. For Nicole, another award season could redefine her legacy. For Keith, a sold-out tour could flip public perception overnight. The right move, the right narrative, and fortunes shift again. Because in this world, reputation is wealth. Behind the scenes, advisors and agents are already repositioning both their careers. Every interview, every appearance, every quote now doubles as strategy. The divorce might end on paper, but in reality, it's just evolving into something else. A public chess game between two professionals who know how to win. In the end, a divorce like this isn't really about who wins, it's about who survives. Nicole may keep her empire, her homes, her name. Keith may lose millions, but he keeps his dignity and the freedom to rebuild. Together, they built an empire. Apart, they'll rebuild their identities. For Nicole, this becomes another story of reinvention, the woman who endures. For Keith, it's the artist who fell, stood back up, and sang his way through the wreckage. And somewhere between them lies the truth no one wants to say out loud. In Hollywood, love is emotional, but divorce is strategic. Every vow is shadowed by a signature. Every forever comes with terms and conditions. The cocaine clause might sound ruthless, but it's really a reflection of how fragile trust becomes when money gets involved. Because when the cameras stop flashing, love becomes paperwork. And paperwork never forgets. Maybe Nicole wrote that clause to protect herself. Maybe Keith believed he'd never need it, but the paper outlasted the promise. And that's what makes this story unforgettable. Not the money, not the fame, but the idea that even the purest love can be rewritten by a single sentence in a contract. So as the dust settles on this $325 million breakup, one truth remains. In Hollywood, love fades, but the fine print lasts forever. Before you scroll, think about this. If you were in Nicole's place, would you sign a clause like that, or trust love enough to go without it? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single one. And don't miss our next story, because another Hollywood couple just lost more money than this entire divorce, all because of one secret clause they didn't see coming. In this town, love is temporary, but contracts, they're forever.